Hey YouTube, how you doing? I am just setting up this live stream for today, which I'm really excited about because I'm talking again about another subject that I'm very passionate about, shockingly, which is the adopt versus shop decision, which is a big decision. And when it comes to your puppy, it's a massive freaking decision before you even get them, right? So I want to have a quick chat to you about that today, and I am going to just get this all live onto Facebook to make sure that we've got everybody engaged and that everybody is here. Hello, Facebook. Welcome to today's episode, I suppose. We should probably start calling them episodes now that I'm making them a fairly regular thing. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you are in the States like I am, despite the accent. And I want to have, I just told YouTube, but I want to have a chat to you today about when you're getting a puppy, whether you should choose to adopt or whether you should choose to shop. And I want to talk a little bit about the adopt versus or the adopt don't shop campaign that Last Chance for Animals came out with a number of years ago now. And I want to give you guys kind of my analogy of how I help my clients make this decision for themselves, so that you guys are best placed to make the most informed decision for you and your family. Okay, let's get into it. Let's start with a quick introduction. I know I've got a few more followers recently, so I want to just sort of reintroduce myself to make sure that you know who I am and what I'm trying to do. So I'm Ellie Smith. I am a professional dog trainer. I've elected to specialise in puppies and particularly puppy development because it's a whirlwind. Let me tell you, I've helped in the lives of over 1,300 dogs and their families at this stage in my career. I've won 4 awards to date with Remarkable. Remarkable itself is actually only 7 months old, so I'm really proud of that. We've also been named the world's top pet blog, which apparently is a bit of a mouthful. And I've been in all sorts of things from, by things I mean press, from Unilad to the Dodo to Bloomberg. That one still shocks me. And yeah, I just want to I wanted to take that couple of minutes to just tell you who I am. And thank you very much for watching, following, subscribing. And if you haven't already, go do that, because every person that we can sort of spread a little bit more information to is great. And share it with your friends too. That'd be lovely. Thank you very much. The embarrassment and humility comes out now. I promise you, at heart, I'm a total geek and I'm not very good at this sort of stuff. But I'm trying, because you guys deserve all this information that's locked in here and in hundreds of other trainers' heads. And you guys deserve all the very best information to get all of this right for you and your family, right? So that's why I'm here. That's a huge chunk of my purpose. And like, the reason I elected to focus on puppies, even though I've got to say, like, reactivity is probably the closest thing to my heart, because I've gone through it with Indy and I've helped loads of puppy parents through it, or dog parents through it, less puppies, luckily. But puppies is that first step. This is our opportunity to get it right. Okay, this is how we activity. This is how we avoid separation anxiety. This is how we optimize our lives together with our dogs. And if we can do that from the ground up, that's the best way I can figure of helping you guys to have the best lives with your dog. We don't want perfect puppies, we want practical ones. And I know that sounds kind of boring, because practical's not sexy, is it? Practical's not an attractive term that we ever get like fond of, but it is what you need. It is what you want. You do want a dog that listens to you when you need them to listen to you. You want them to recall when they need to recall. And that's what I want you to have. I want you to have that relationship. So moving swiftly on, I'm now going to talk about houses. And I know that feels like a bit of a tangent, but this is the analogy that I was getting at. So when, like, buying a puppy or getting a dog, no matter what aspect or age that you're considering doing that at, my best way of explaining it to somebody who's never done it before is houses. If you were to buy a house, what would you be looking for? You'd have a list probably as long as your arm saying exactly what you needed. You wanted up-to-date electrics, you wanted all the sockets in all the logical places, you wanted to make sure that the plumbing's solid, you want to make sure the walls are solid, you want to make sure there's no leaks in the roof, and that the foundations are good, right? You want to make sure that everything that you're buying isn't going to become a headache normally, unless you are particularly skilled at dealing with these sorts of headaches. Okay, so the way I liken it is when you look at a house and you're looking to buy a house, that your new puppy, a well-bred new puppy, is the same as a well-built home built by, say, a craftsman. Somebody who really knows what they're doing. That person who can put things together and is going to put things together in the right way, such that the home flows, that the electrics are in the right place, that everything is where it should be and how it should be. And that's not an easy feat, is it? I mean, I've lived in a new home that wasn't built by a craftsman, that was kind of one of those cookie cutter homes, and goodness only knows there was probably just as many problems with it. A few less than if I'd gone for an older home perhaps, but that was the decision I made. So I went for the lesser grade of new home, which meant that there was work to do, as is always the way. Then you've got the option of going for an older home. So say a dog that's already had one owner or is looking for an owner, but the past and the history is lesser known. Okay, so that is the equivalent of buying a house, say, without surveys or without all the other information that you need to check that it is safe and secure. Because a person with a dog who can do the equivalent of your house's survey is somebody like me, is somebody like a vet. Because most people don't come with the skill set to see potential problems. Okay, and that's not a criticism on any of my audience, because I know that you guys are trying your very, very hardest. It's just one of those things that unless you can read the nuances of dog body language, unless you can spend time with the dog and understand a little bit about what's going on behind the eyes, what's going on in their little head, that it's tough. It's tough to understand like exactly what's going to come of a rescue dog. And you might get one and they might be absolutely the best dog in the world. They may be perfect. Again, I hate the term, but you know what I mean. They may be perfect for you. However, you might get one, and like a house that you've not had surveyed or looked at by somebody who knows what they're doing, if the roof's leaking, they may have reactivity. If the plumbing's not sorted, they may have stomach issues, and that's a quite literal translation there, isn't it? But you get the point. You don't know what's underneath unless and like dogs don't typically show a lot of their actual natural behaviors in rescues. So even the rescue staff may not be aware of some of the things that you are going to experience. So unless you have, say, the money to get a professional to redo the roof or deal with the reactivity, that would be me. Unless you have the knowledge, you are going to need that professional. Unless it's something you can do yourself and invest the time yourself. I mean, you're always going to have to invest the time with the dog. It's the only difference in the analogy. Unless you can do that, it's going to be a struggle, and I'm not going to lie to you on that, because dogs, I mean, we know dogs don't speak English. Dogs don't speak any language that we can directly translate from. We can only infer, and we can only try to understand. And that's my job. That's what I do for a living. And it's as much an art as it is a science. And when you bring home a dog that you don't know their past, you don't know their history, it's tougher. Now, I do want to caveat real quick. I am not against people adopting dogs. I thoroughly believe people need to adopt dogs. But we need to make sure that we are doing an appropriate thing for our family. Because whilst our heart can be in the right place, and whilst we want to adopt a dog and we want to give a dog another chance, if we bring that dog into our lives and then 6 months, 12 months, 2 years down the line, all we can think of is, I did the wrong thing. Or you've gotten into a predicament that you can't get out of because the dog is now, you know, Fido's been in your home for 2 years, but he's just bitten your neighbour. Heartache, emotion, stress, all of these things start coming out. And these are things that could have been avoided because you didn't know Fido's past. And again, this is not to say that you shouldn't adopt. This is to say you need to go into adoption with your eyes open, okay? Because they can be problematic, and unless you can afford to fix these things or have the knowledge to fix these things, it may not be the best choice for you. I mean, sure, the odd house, like houses where the odd old house that is wonderful from foundation to roof comes up on the market, they don't come up that often. That ideal dog that has had all the training, has had all the attention, has had everything that they need up until this date, they don't come into a rescue centre that often. So just, yeah, be careful. And like, again, I'm a massive advocate of people rescuing, because to me, rescues and rescue centres are one of those things that are a necessary evil. Because even in like the optimum climate, even if we could stop all dogs from being bought irresponsibly, bred irresponsibly, and like eliminate that aspect of like poor ownership, is probably how I would label it. There's still going to be people who get into situations like who pass away and they've got a dog, but their family can't take care of them. Or there's going to be people who get their lives just change. And sometimes, yeah, you do have to give up your dog, even though it is heartbreaking. These things happen. So rescue centres are always going to be a necessary evil. Not evil, but like they're going to be a necessary thing in the dog world. I say evil because nobody wants to see a dog in rescue. Essentially, I don't mean that rescues are a bad thing, as I keep saying. But the other aspect of minimising the number of dogs in rescue is to support responsible breeders. If we support them and we promote them to our friends, to our family, to everybody who asks, we are going to focus the money, as crude as that is, into the responsible areas of the industry. In the UK, there is now actually a breeder's qualification that means that your breeder can be certified, essentially, to say that they are doing everything that they can to make sure that their litters are going to become phenomenal dogs. And there should be no shame about supporting a responsible breeder. And I say this because I have genuinely experienced, I mean, somebody in my local Facebook group for Frederick turned around and was like, I'm looking to get a responsibly bred X breed. Does anyone have any recommendations? And I was shocked and rather disappointed to see that said person got probably 90% of the responses were this humane society, this rescue, this charity or foundation or whatever it is. And it felt a lot like um, bullying, essentially, because she had already taken the time to consider what was best for her and her family, and she decided that a puppy was the way forward. And then got a load of comments saying, you know, adopt, don't shop, and things like that. And it's very much a shame, you know, because we do need responsible breeders. We do need that aspect, because the better our dogs are bred, the longer they'll live, the easier they will be to train, the less behavioural issues they have, and the less veterinary issues they're going to have. And that's not a promise, that's not a guarantee, because things happen. And, you know, the world and the environment happens. But a well-bred puppy is going to be a more solid dog. They're going to have a more solid foundation for you to build upon. And that's why they are like what I would call the turnkey new home by a craftsman, because the craftsman is the breeder. The new home is a blank canvas. I mean, you can't change where it is. You can't change. I mean, you could change like the inner structure, but you know what I mean. The house is going to have the footprint that it has, and it is what it is, and it is where it is. But anything within that you can change. Okay, because puppies are nature and nurture. Okay, so there is no such thing as a blank canvas when it comes to puppies. They all have a history. They all have something going on within their DNA that actually will change and adapt and bring in memories and influences from their parents. So if, for example, your dog's mother was absolutely terrified of fireworks. If you do need help with fireworks, I do have a video on that, so just message me and I can forward you the link. If they had a massive fear of fireworks, that can and probably will transfer from her to her litter. And it will from the father too. So temperament is huge. Okay, so what breeders do is as much an art as it is a science, the same as what I do. It takes time, it takes precision, and it takes knowledge and care. So if you find a good breeder, support them. If you find a bad breeder, don't support them. For example, I'm never sending anyone back to Indy's breeder, never ever, because it's not how that should happen. It's not how that should run. And it has to be said that actually Adopt, Don't Shop, that campaign for Last Chance or Buy Last Chance for Animals, actually agrees with that. When you look into what the actual meaning of Adopt, Don't Shop is, I should do it that way for the camera, shouldn't I? Adopt, Don't Shop is, it's actually the case that they're saying adopt puppies, don't buy them from pet stores or from puppy mills. They are not saying don't get a puppy from a responsible breeder. It has had phenomenal media coverage. It's on the tip of so many people's tongues. Okay, if you talk about adopting a dog, one of the first, or do word association with somebody, I guarantee you one of the first things they'll come out with is Adopt, Don't Shop. And I'd say even my mum, who is, bless her, a little bit not a little bit, she's dog ignorant, you know, she has no idea about dogs. Where the hell did I come from? Yeah, so for her, I'd say even she knows it. She's in the UK. She's not a dog person. This was founded in America, and it's been that successful, you know? And I know that, you know that, but we just have to remember that it's not necessarily been, just because it says adopt, don't shop, doesn't mean adopt, don't support responsible breeders. There's a fine line, right? So we have to remember that, and please, 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 if somebody is ever talking to you about buying a puppy, just encourage them towards a responsible breeder as opposed to an irresponsible breeder. That's what the Adopt, Don't Shop is actually truly about. at least from my reading and from my understanding, by all means, last chance for animals. Come talk to me if I'm wrong. So, on that note, I am actually going to talk to you really, really briefly about a new service that I am introducing, because I'm massively excited about this. There is no page for it on the website just yet, but come talk to me, message me, DM me, comment on this, and we will open some sort of a conversation about it. Because if you are looking for a new puppy, if you are looking for, you know, something to fill that dog-shaped hole in your life, because the t-shirt's right, you'd be happier if you had a dog. You knowing where to start is a real big problem, which is partially why I've done this live, and hopefully it'll give you an idea as to whether you want to adopt, or you're willing to, or like, sorry, you want to shop, or you are willing to adopt. Shop responsibly. Caveat. And the service that I'm going to announce is I'm going to start helping you guys to match you with potential breeds of dog that might match what you need out of your life with a dog. Okay, because from my experience and from what I can see, a lot of the friction with new puppy parents and with dog ownership in the long term comes from the fact that people tend to not consider what their dogs need, what the breed of dog is known for, what they will be like in their home. Okay, and I totally get it, because it's one of those things that is really difficult, and I mean really difficult, to even comprehend before you get a dog. Because you look at a dog and you go, I like Australian Shepherds, I like Belgian Malinois, I like Coonhounds. But owning those dogs is very different to A, what you're going to see on social media, promise you, or B, what you read online. Even if you go into the Facebook groups like that are breed specific and go, hey, can you tell me about the Pekingese? They're gonna tell you stuff, and not all of it's gonna be appropriate. So what I'm trying to do is or how it will work is that you and I will go through a conversation, a real quick conversation about what you would like from your dog, what breeds you do like, what breeds you don't like, what grooming requirements, barking requirements, all sorts of other things. And I will take all that information, I will walk away, and I will present you with a small breed portfolio of 5 or 6 dogs that I think would suit your lifestyle, your family, your home, the way you live, and what you want from a dog. Okay? Because this way we can set you up on the right track for the right dog. Okay? Because, for example, I mean, I speak a lot about my coonhounds, and they were one of the breeds that I mentioned there. Would I ever buy a coonhound again? No. Why? Because they don't actually suit the person that I am. They don't actually suit the person that my husband is. My husband bought the 2 coonhound puppies home a number of years ago before we were together, and they're wonderfully cuddly, and they're wonderful dogs, but they come with a massive price tag, and that price tag is howling. They can't really go off lead. They have such an enormous prey drive. And don't get me wrong, this is all stuff I'm working on. This is all stuff that we are constantly training on. But would I go for one again? Even though I would now go in with the knowledge that I have about coonhounds that I've miraculously gained over the last however long it's been since I've been here, I wouldn't pick them again. And to say that, I say that with all the love in the world, because I love my girls, but they're not an appropriate breed for me. They're not an appropriate breed for the way I live. Okay? And it's very easily overlooked. And my husband would say the same, so please don't think that I'm bad-mouthing my husband's dogs because I love them to bits. But I was on Instagram before this, and Tori actually joined me there. Tori Mystic, who is a wonderful pet blogger. If you haven't seen her, please go check her out. She is on Wear Wag Repeat, and she's fantastic. I love her to bits. And she popped up, and I used Labradors as an example when I said that, like as opposed to Coonhounds. And one of the things she said was, if you don't like Labrador things, don't get a Labrador. Yes, and that is exactly it. So I want to make sure that you and your dog are going to share the same interests. I want to make sure that you and your dog are set up so that you can enjoy your lives together and that there's minimal friction, because it's kind of like you're two peas in a pod as opposed to being chalk and cheese. Okay, so that's the new service. That's what I'm going to be offering to you guys as of today. So if you are interested, I'm going to take a couple of very, very highly discounted slots. So please do get in touch. You can get in touch on any social media channel. You can get, preferably Instagram. I'm very, very good on Instagram these days. As in, I'm on there a lot. I'm not necessarily great at it. Or drop a comment below the video, or drop me an email if you head over to remarkable.com/contact, I think. That's where you can find the little contact form, or just email me at woof@remarkable.com. And I really want you guys to succeed. A big part of my mission in life is to get me and other trainers like me basically unemployed. It seems like a really strange thing to say, but behavioral issues and like training issues mainly come from bad breeding, lack of understanding, or the fact that, the I can't use that analogy, that's a bad analogy, but just that, you guys don't mesh, that you're not actually built for one another, that you probably did exactly what my husband did and looked at some smushy coonhound puppies and went, oh my god, yes, that's what I want. And it's not. So I don't want to take the fun out of it, but we do need to be a little bit practical, because it will set you guys up for such roaring success in the future, especially if you then head on to my program, which is Pup Dates, and make sure that you stay like on track with training, on track with expectations. It means that you guys will be like just such a cut above everybody else that it's worth the initial investment. Okay, a couple of highly discounted slots available. Drop me a message and let's have a chat. Thank you very much, guys, and I will see you probably around this time next week. Thank you very much. Bye.